'cause we are legends, and we'll live in memory.
By the way things are going, it is obvious that Xizhou is well on the way to becoming a tourist town. For example, when talking to Miss Wang, a shopkeeper, she stated that Shuanglang, a nearby town, is flooded with tourists, and many websites have got Shuanglang a large playground for tourists. The same happened in nearby Lijiang, where the culture was eradicated by tourism. Peter, the owner of a small business, said that the rate that tourists are flooding to Xizhou is alarming. He points out that China's tourism industry is just getting started, and more people will flock to Xizhou to see the culture here. He identifies the large impacts of tourism, and tourism has affected culture severely. Many cultural aspects are deleted and changed to cater to the needs of tourists. For example, the tie-dye borrowed the style from the nearby Zhoucheng, and surprised, the outfit that the Bai people wore were actually designed so they would attract tourists. This leads to tourism being nothing more than coming to view an elongated screenplay. The central government has granted Xizhou a ridiculous amount of money to promote tourism. Most people I interviewed said that they were glad they had an easier way of making money than farming or traditional crafts. The incentives of the government and the people line up, and this is a prime example of how myopia for profit leads to the eradication of culture. Tourists often come here to experience authentic culture and would spend more if the culture seemed more authentic. All of these pieces of evidence clearly point to the slow but sure trend that will swallow up old Xizhou and spit out a tourist playground of a Xizhou. Based on current policy and demographic trends, it is clear that Xizhou is on the way to protect its culture and environment and will kick out tourism and large businesses. Firstly, the government grant to Xizhou was not to promote tourism but to protect the culture. The government clearly recognizes that the culture here is more important and has adeptly made Xizhou Old Town, which prevented people from building anachronistic and modern buildings in an effort to preserve current Xizhou. According to Mr. Zhang Rui, an employee at the tourism center, the tourism industry in Xizhou is not doing very well, and the number of tourists is not significant. The initiative to protect Lake Erhai is another case where the government sacrificed the welfare of small businesses to protect the environment. The government clearly realized that the system of over-industrializing old towns is a bad one, and they can look back at multiple cases of cultural destruction, such as bulldozing the walls of Xi'an, trashing the old forts during the Cultural Revolution, and over-industrializing many towns, such as Liaoning and Harbin. If we look at government rhetoric and focus, there is a clear shift from economic-centered ideas to culture and environment-centered ideas. Here's an excerpt from Xi Jinping's 19th Party Congress speech. Culture is a country and nation's soul. Our country will thrive only if our culture thrives, and our nation will be strong only if our culture is strong. Without full confidence in our culture, without a rich and prosperous culture, the Chinese nation will not be able to rejuvenate itself. Another excerpt. As a result, the entire party and the whole country have become more purposeful and active in pursuing green development, and there has been a clear shift away from the tendency to neglect ecological and environmental protections. Xi's speech clearly demonstrates this shifting mindset of the government from the economy to culture and environment. Just because during the past the government has neglected culture does not mean that the trend has to continue. This is a very hypothetical argument, but Xizhou could potentially harness the economic benefits of tourism and use it to fund preservation efforts. Take Italy, for example. Tourism is one of Italy's main industries, but Italy has managed to preserve its culture and environment. Think of the beauty and the rich culture of Italy, but also realize that every year millions of tourists flock there to see the Leaning Tower of Pisa, the Colosseum and just enjoy the rich cuisine and the unspoiled landscape. One of the main parts of Italy's success is to foster an environment of responsible tourism that China does not seem to have. But civility and responsibility are higher stages of development than mere economic development. China is progressively realizing the importance of traits, a reflection back to the Confucian years. Take, for example, China's propaganda. 中国社会主义核心价值观文明、友善、诚信. For a small town like Xizhou, between the government grant and the tourism industry's profits trickling down, there is more than enough fun to go around. The government clearly cannot afford to spoil local biculture or kick out the tourism industries. It is clear that the only solution lies in somewhere in between, where the government has to find a balance between tourism and culture. Over the course of the last few weeks at Microcampus, I have experienced something truly amazing. I have experienced culture, tourism, and the environment at a whole new level, and I have learned about so many things that would change my worldview and who I am as a person.